All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Wednesday night. Woo, woo, woo. I am hoping that for the few of you all who have logged in on time and are ready to rock and roll, could you do us a favor and share out? PHM EDU is back. We're live. It's 7:02. Gave you guys a little countdown time. Start a watch party, something. Let them know it's Wednesday night and we have an awesome session for tonight. Excuse me. We've had first week we did hermeneutics, talking about the interpretation of the word. Then in week 2 we talked about finance. Come on, who's not going to love talking about the money? Money matters. Last week we talked about wellness. Okay. We pray that your soul would prosper, that you would prosper as your soul would prosper. And now we're going to be talking about a very relevant. Hi, for those who are chiming in, say good evening, say hello. Let us know that you're listening, that you're watching, that you're here. This week we have one of my favorite presenters. I have a little bit of a bias. I know him very well, and I'm really excited for you all to chime in today and participate. We have, thank you for saying hello in the chat. If you haven't said hello, go ahead and say hello. We'd like to just see who's here with us. We're going to be talking about technology. I don't know many people who are more more passionate about technology than our presenter tonight. And so without further ado, I'm not going to hold you any longer. I've been doing the build up. We have our very own world's finest, Errol Ebanks.
Awesome. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today on this Wednesday night.
If y'all don't know, that's my husband. Okay, go ahead.
Wednesday night. Hello. Yes. So today we are going to be learning all about technology. We're going to be understanding the cloud and online safety. We are either working from home right now, this might be new for a lot of people. And, just being able to better understand technology and understanding this thing called the cloud and what is it, and really online safety. We're going to really unpack that today.
That's awesome. You want to tell them what I'm about to put in the chat?
Yes. So before we dive in and everything like that, we're going to, Rachel's going to post in the chat your understanding of technology. How do you use your technology? So if everyone can fill out that link right there, that'll be greatly appreciated. So I would love to see how everybody is when it comes to technology. If you can fill that out, that would be great. And
I think it's what, 4 or 5 questions, right? It's real quick.
Yep, we have 4 or 5 questions. You know what? And I'll put out to myself. So I'll do that as well. To bypass the time right here. Okay, so what are
now? One thing I want to say is some people, when it comes to church, they think that we should only have sessions on the Bible, prayer, fasting. But I was so struck by this one lady. She's a professional comedian. Some of you all may have seen her very famous video, Bon Qui Goes to the Nail Salon. All right, Angela Johnson. She said that she actually got into comedy because her church had a stand-up comedy not lesson, what do we call it? Class. They had a class for stand-up comedy. And that ended up being the gateway for her becoming a professional comedian. That a lot of us now know and love. And so sometimes as a church, we need to offer not just an interpretation of the Bible and teaching people how to fast and pray, but also some practical skills that might help them transform their lives into something better than they could even imagine. So I'm really excited for us to get to talk about technology. If you're just joining us, please go ahead and fill out the quick survey in the chat. Back to you, babe.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So we're getting a lot of those surveys in right now. So if we can just bring that up on the screen real quick. All right, there we go. So keep filling out those surveys. We're seeing them come in real time, by the way, which is great. All right. So if we were to dive in here, and what is your primary device and what do you spend your time on? So if we were to look at this right now, we see three people say laptop and desktop. So primarily I'm on those uh, throughout the day. Now we see tablet right here and we see phone. So really between laptop and desktop and phone is kind of like a tie. So a lot of people either are on their laptop and desktop all the time, but a lot of people are also on their mobile device. And I always say our mobile device is kind of like our lifeline right now with everything. Our phone is always glued to our hip. Our phone has become almost like our food source. You can't survive without food. You can't survive usually a day without your phone and even the internet sometimes. So, those are some great things to see right there. But also, how are we participating right now on this stream? So, we see a large number of people are participating right here on a mobile phone. How amazing is that? If you think about technology, who could have predicted 10 years ago that we would actually be able to live stream something like this and just watch it on our phones or even our tablets or our iPads? So we can see how technology and computers have come a long way and really advanced and kind of made things a little bit easier for us. We're one step closer to living like the Jetsons, you know. um, Now, this one is pretty interesting. How do you back up your files, documents, pictures, videos? Do you back up? So we can see almost always, which is good. And I can't wait to hear and see how are people backing up. Sometimes I am so glad we don't have never, which is great. Because how scary is that? We don't want to lose anything. And unsure. So that this is really awesome. And then why or what do you use to back up? Now, I'm very happy to see this right here. The cloud. So all of you who is backing up to the cloud, put in the chat, I back up to the cloud. So we know that you are backing up to the cloud. This is great. We have external hard drives right there, but we have my computer and nothing to back up. All right. So we are going to see what this is like. And we're going to learn about all of these things and what is that primary method of backing up right here. Awesome. So I can see Tiffany is backing up to the cloud. Perfect. Awesome. All right. So we filled out that survey, which is great. So thank you, everyone, for filling that out. So we get to understand that data right there and see where everyone's at. We just want to engage everyone, see where they're at. So this is truly awesome. And keep throwing those comments in the chat. That is awesome. All right. So we can move on to the next one. So today we are going to be talking about a lot of different things today. And some of the things that we will be talking about today is learning about the importance of backing up to the cloud, but also to talking about what is the cloud and is it safe? And then also who are the providers and how are you protecting yourself online? That is probably the biggest thing that we're going to close out tonight. How are you protecting yourself online tonight? All right, awesome. Okay, so we already filled out that survey. Now, let's talk about who are the characters, right? Who are we? Who do we relate with? Now we can see we have 4 different characters right here. We have Nervous Nelly, we have Foolish Phil, we have Lazy Lucy, and we have Best Practice Bob. So let's see who is Nervous Nelly. Doesn't trust technology. She avoids it as much as possible. Now, I work for a tech company, work for Microsoft, and I got this question a lot. I don't trust technology. I heard it. I don't like it. Who can see it? What's going on? But then we have foolish Phil, who is over trusting and overshares everything online, whether it be a tweet, a Facebook post, whether it be anything on Instagram, Snapchat, or even TikTok. And then we got Lazy Lucy, who knows better, but doesn't do better. Think about that. Know about the cloud, maybe know about technology, but doesn't really do much, doesn't do better. And then we have best practice Bob, knows better and does better. So if you want to put in the chat real quick, which one do you relate to? And do not be shy. We are all friends here. So
See, that
what
sounds
do you,
like foolish Phil. He thinks everybody's his friend. See, everybody on the internet is
uh-huh.
not your friend, y'all. Everybody on the internet is not. That Nigerian prince ain't real, y'all. Don't send him no money. Listen. I think that at certain points, I'm different characters. Sometimes I'm a nervous Nelly. See, he's got these smart speakers in the phone in the house. If you say, okay, Google, they listening, but even if you don't, I know they're listening. Sometimes I'm a little bit of a nervous Nelly. But then with other things, I feel like I'm a lazy Lucy. And then sometimes I'm a best practice Bob. So you might find yourself in different circumstances depending on what the technology actually is. I would get in a self-driving car, but I don't want them drones in my house. You know what I mean? So I think everybody has their limitations depending on what the technology happens to be. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, we got some fun responses. Let me know if you want to put any of them up.
Sure, if you want to, definitely.
All right, we got a couple people who are being honest. Said,
Ah,
yeah.
I'm foolish Phil. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I suppose I am best practice Bob. All right. But I'm nervous Nelly when it comes to TikTok. Same here. I'm a nervous Nelly when it comes to TikTok. I don't understand TikTok as much. For those who do, put it in the chat that you understand it. All right. Awesome. We got Bob. There you go. All right. So we're gonna dive in today and learn about that. So this is awesome. So we kind of now understand characters, but now we want to dive in and figure out why do we back up? Right?
Oh, is this story time?
Yep, this is story time. So can anyone put in the chat? Put this question in the chat. Why do you back up? I would love to learn, why do you back up? Why do you back up your stuff?
And was
I'm
there a
glad.
time that you wish you had backed up your stuff and you didn't? Because I think that we might have some of those stories out there. I know I got my story of when I I thought I had saved my paper for school on my jump drive and I didn't. And I didn't have it with me and I had to type all of it up from scratch that morning in the library. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I was panicking and I promise you that paper was nonsense. But I didn't have it backed up. So I was like, "Oh my goodness." You have a story like that?
Yeah, I have something, but I want to hear everyone else's responses before I go into my storytelling. So, why do you back up? All right, we got a few responses. All right, so Super Sweet Song says to save things and free up space. I like that. Yes. I might be subpoenaed to testify in a trial, and I love documentation. Yes, Tiffany, yes. And also like to keep stuff. So preserving that stuff. Yes. My stuff is relevant. Gotta keep it backed up. That is correct. That is so correct. So why do we back up? We're hearing the same thing. We want to preserve things. We want to save things. We want to free up space on our computers. So we back up, right? And what are some of the primary tools that we use to back up? And we have these tools right here, right? So we have a flash drive right here, as you can see. And then we also have an external drive. These are the primary tools that we use to back up. Now, I'm going to do some storytelling right here. And this was not for the faint of heart. So, let's go back. I want to say sophomore year of college, right? So I'm in photography class. I'm doing everything and I'm backing up all of my work, right? I'm backing it up on things like this, but I realize this only has 16 gigs of space. So you know what? I wanted to get something a little bit larger. So I just used this, an external hard drive, a terabyte hard drive, look kind of something similar to this, a little bit larger where I plugged it into the wall, right? So I'm backing this up. And besides my computer, this was my only backup right here, this hard drive. So I am backing up everything. I'm transferring stuff. Everything's plugged in. I'm listening to some music. I'm doing some photo editing. And I wheeled my chair back. And when I wheeled my chair back, something happened. I didn't realize the cord that I had plugged into my external hard drive was wrapped around my chair. So when I wheeled back my chair, the external hard drive, which was on my shelf, fell down on the rug. Did not shatter, did not break. So I'm like, all right, this is fine. And I plugged it in. And everything seems to be working. And I am plugging it in. And before I tell you this story, quick question. Does anyone have a friend or know anybody by the name of Murphy? If you can put in the chat, yes or no, if you know somebody named Murphy, put that in the chat real quick. This goes on with my story. Don't worry. So, do you know anyone that is named Murphy? Do you have a friend that is named Murphy at all? No? All right. So, I see Rachel shaking her head. Nope. Don't know anyone named Murphy. Well, I actually knew someone named Murphy, and his name is Murphy's Law. That happened. Bad stuff happened. I wheeled my chair back, external hard drive dropped, plugged it in, and I resumed my backup. Everything was going well, and then I heard tick, tick, tick in the external hard drive, and eventually, zoom, stopped working. And I started panicking. I was like, oh my gosh. So I unplugged it, replugged it in. It didn't work. So I went to a place and there's like, well, we could recover your stuff, but it's going to be $1,500. And there's not a guarantee that your stuff could be recovered. So I felt sick to my stomach, like I just lost all of my work. What am I going to do? Right? But then I realized I backed everything up in the cloud right there. So
Won't he do it? Won't he do it?
So backed up everything in the cloud. Now this goes on to our next topic, but before we do, I think our other slide we had was why do we back up? So why do we back up? We all probably answered it already. It's all about preserving those files. to make sure you have those important files safe in case of system crash or hard drive failure, right? That's why we backed up. But unfortunately, I had hard drive failure. So that didn't work. But luckily, blissfully, I backed up everything in the cloud. Um, yes, we go on blessings, not on luck, right? Yes. So, what is the cloud, right? Is it that thing in the sky? No, it's not that thing in the sky. So, what is the cloud? So, this is the definition right here of the cloud. The cloud refers to servers that are accessed over the internet and the software and databases that run on those servers. That's what it is. Now, you might be thinking, okay, what servers? What does that mean? So, think about the hard drive method, right? So, when we think about backing up our stuff, a lot of people might not feel comfortable with the cloud, so they use an external hard drive. Well, this external hard drive is one hard drive. It is a physical hard drive. What does that mean? If it drops, all your data is gone. Water damage, fire, or even theft. This is null and void. You don't have no more backup. Now, imagine having 300,000 of these same hard drives, and it's being backed up to different things over and over and over and over, right? Though that is what the cloud is. So it is backed up on a server across the world. So there are many different servers. So anytime you're uploading something to the cloud, it is being backed up over and over again. Meaning, let's say, for instance, there's a power failure in California where a cloud provider keeps their stuff. Even though that goes down, that is fine because it's being backed up in a different area. So the likelihood of you losing anything in the cloud is slim to none, but we are going to go over the safety in a little bit later. But the cloud is truly amazing because these can fail you. These have a short shelf life. I know this is probably not going to last me 50 years, not even maybe 10 years. It might not even last me 10 minutes if I plug this in. Who knows? This could stop working. And I hope it doesn't, but the likelihood, it can. It's a moving part. But with the cloud, you can have access across all of your different devices. Now, who here has utilized the cloud um, in their everyday life?
I'm not sure if you saw it, but we actually got a cool comment about it. So I'm interested to see what the rest of the people say about using the cloud. Because I know for myself, if you ask me what the cloud was, I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure I'm using it. Okay. And so there might be a lot of people out there who are relating to me who they don't really know what it is. They know that they're sending their work out. It's feeling kind of spiritual. And you're sending it out into the atmosphere, right? And you're like, I'm believing by faith that this is going come on now. I'm believing by faith that this is going somewhere. And that it is going to be there when I come back tomorrow. And it is. But I don't really know where it's going. Or how it's doing it. So if you're like me, it's okay. If you don't really know how it works or where it's really gone, but you do use it, you can still let us know. You ain't got to be able to explain all the back end stuff. You ain't got to be able to explain how a car runs to go ahead and drive it. So it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Right. Awesome. Yes. And it is okay. But one thing I do want to discuss, right? If you say no, you don't use the cloud, I want to tell you that you've been using the cloud for a very long time. When I mean a very long time, think back to You Got Mail. Remember that? Remember that slogan? Remember that from AOL? If you have an email address, you are utilizing the cloud. Now you might be thinking, wait, what? I have an email address, I'm using the cloud. Yes, your emails are run on a server as well. If you use different cloud providers, which we'll talk about today, those are what is run on the cloud. If you can access your email across your device, whether it be a computer, whether it be a Mac, a PC, a Chromebook, your phone, you are already using some form of the cloud. And our first steps, our baby steps towards the cloud was getting our first email address. That was kind of like that starting point of utilizing the cloud right there. So, how exciting is that to know that you are one step away of being a cloud master right here? So let's see what questions do we have so far in the chat.
We don't have any questions yet. We have some comments. So some
Mhm.
people, let's go back. We had one a while ago that I thought was fascinating from Angela Davis.
Okay, all right. So let's unpack this. Just in case the cloud fails, I email stuff to myself so it's there forever. I actually like this post. So the the likelihood of the cloud failing, no matter what. I mean, anything could happen. A meteor could hit the earth, and then that's it. Cloud stops working. A lot of things stop working, including us. Um, but the likelihood of the cloud failing is kind of slim to none, because if we think about how the world has advanced and is so reliant on technology, yes, power outage, internet outage might go down and it disrupts our lives, but the infrastructure, the cloud actually ceasing to exist, is slim to none. There's so many security protocols, um, back end stuff. It backs up constantly, and it doesn't just back up on land. They have servers underneath the ocean. You might
Down
not
there with
even.
Nemo.
Yep, down there with Nemo and Willie. Yep, down there with all of them. You know, and that is one of the new ways they are actually utilizing cloud computing, is putting servers underneath the ocean in almost below 0 degree temperature, and it uses the energy of the ocean, so it's not even using electricity from like big buildings and stuff to keep it running and keep it cool. It's using the actual ocean and all the stuff that the ocean has in it, which is truly amazing. And next step will be up there in space. So your
The
cloud,
cloud's going in the cloud. Is that what you're
the
about to
clouds
say?
is going in the clouds, and the
Oh, come on,
atmosphere and
Mr.
the
Ebanks.
stratosphere is
Come
going
on.
up there. So how amazing is that? Is that we're figuring out new ways to create different things, and eventually they're working on a way to make external hard drives and figure out servers for cloud and put all that data inside of glass. You might not think like glass, why glass? Something with the energy in glass and it can preserve it forever. They're actually working on something that says it preserves it forever. The likelihood of you losing it will be slim. So I can't wait for that. I hope I'm alive to see that, because that will be freaking amazing.
Glass clouds. Okay, we got another comment.
Uh, I used to when my tablet offered it automatically to save things, but I was never able to retrieve my files back because I didn't know how to use it. Now, um, I would like to know maybe what provider or what cloud service did they offer? Was it like Verizon backup and sync, or like Comcast backup and sync? I would definitely like to know with that. And I use the cloud for work and personal stuff daily, but I don't understand how the cloud has limited capacity. Yes, so we'll be going over that tonight too as well, because think cloud and we think, oh, it's unlimited. We look up at the sky, the clouds are vast. But businesses got to make money. So we'll definitely dive in with that, why it has limited capacity. Awesome. So these are some really great questions. So it brings up to our next thing. Who are our providers, right? Who are these cloud providers that we have? So there are tons of different cloud providers out there, but we have four popular providers out there. So if you look at your phones right now, or even maybe your computer, these are some popular providers right there. So we start off with Apple's iCloud, which gives you 5 gigs of free cloud storage, right? How many times have we taken a photo on iPhone, and Samsung has brought this to the forefront with Apple, and kind of made fun of them, poked fun of them? How many times have you taken that photo on your phone and it says out of storage, low on space? You get that pop up, right? So Apple is giving you 5 gigs of free cloud storage. Then we have Dropbox, which is very popular. They were the ones that kind of pushed the cloud in that consumer front, where people was like, "Oh, what is this cloud thing?" Dropbox kind of that trend. And then we have Microsoft's OneDrive. So if you are on like a PC, you may have seen that OneDrive icon or that cloud, that symbol right there on your computer. You might not have thought anything of it, but that is your cloud right there. And then you have Google, which gives you 15 gigs of cloud storage, but that is spread out across your email, your Google Drive, and your photos. So just keep that in mind. You might think, oh, I got 15 gigs of free cloud space. No, it's really 5 if you think about it. We split it across mail, across photos, and across your Google Drive. But what do these all have in common, right? Is that they provide a service to back up your stuff. Now, Tiffany, you brought that comment of, I use the cloud for work and for personal stuff daily, but you don't understand why the cloud has so much limited space, right? Um, Limited space, yes. So, for the cloud to work and for those companies to make money, they will have to buy servers and make sure that's up to date, and they have to make sure security is at the utmost top, right? So with that, there's going to be a charge for that. Normally you would pay an annual fee that can be maybe $100 a year. um, Even though I work for Microsoft, um, they have a cloud. 99 bucks, you can get up to like 6 people. Each one gets a terabyte. With Apple, they have their service where each person, um, depending on the tier that you choose, you'll be able to get iCloud storage. Dropbox has it, Google has it. So it'll be really up to you to decide who you would want to use. And I'll give you an easy way to do that. If we think about Apple, if you already own an iPhone, an iPad, and a Mac, you're probably going to gravitate to Apple's cloud storage. Why is that? Well, with Apple, everything kind of intertwines together, right? But it's very limited. And Rachel, what was that analogy that I mentioned yesterday? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Mm, mm. Something with food, and I don't remember. Mm-mm.
Something with food. All right. So let's take a look at these cloud providers real quick. We have Apple, we have Dropbox, we have OneDrive, and we have Google, right? So if we think about Apple, you own an iPhone, a Mac, and let's say a iPad, right? You would probably want to stay in their ecosystem, but you're locked into their ecosystem. So imagine it's kind of like, I know I'm going to revert to this one because that's what I can remember.
I remember it's Apple is Aldi. They have limited options and it's their brands mostly.
Yep. So Apple is like Aldi, right? It's their brand stuff and that's it. If you go outside of that, if you might have a PC, you might have, let's say, a Chromebook, you could do it, but it's not going to be the best experience. But if you have an iPhone, an Android, a Chromebook, you name it, other platforms, you mix and match, right? These will be the best options to use because you'll be able to use it across all your devices seamlessly, which is great. Now, it'll be up to you to kind of learn about these cloud providers, what they offer. Do you like their privacy? So, all of those things come into play. Now, I just want to show a quick video on how to look at some of these cloud providers, maybe understanding where are they on your computer if you have a PC. So what we're going to do right now is we're just going to play that quick video on cloud providers. So enjoy. Hey everyone, so I want to show you a quick video on a few cloud providers. So I want to take a Windows PC. So you may have noticed we have these cloud icons here for OneDrive. This is your cloud where you can store your stuff, but you just want to make sure you are signed in to your Microsoft account. So if this looks familiar on your computer, you already have the cloud built in, ready and good to go. Now, let's look at some other ones, like Google Drive. Okay, so does this look familiar? Your search page that you always have? Well, it should. This is your Google. Now, if you click here on this waffle menu, this is where you will see Google Drive. So you do have up to 15 gigs of free cloud storage. Now, this is spread across both Google Drive, your email, as well as your photos. So just keep that in mind. But this is where you can back up your documents. So you might be using Google Docs, just to name a few. And there's also Google Photos as well. So you can store those memories. All right, so we are back. So I hope everyone has maybe took a deep dive on kind of what they use. But I want to ask a question. What cloud providers are you currently using right now? Are you using Apple's iCloud? Are you using Dropbox? Are you using OneDrive? Are you using Google? Are you mixing all of them and you're using a combination of both? Now, I could tell you for me, I don't have an iPhone anymore, so I don't use Apple's iCloud anymore, but I do use OneDrive and Google. Those are my two cloud providers of choice, both from a work side and a personal side. How about you, Rachel?
I started off back in the day on Dropbox. And when I felt like Super Sweet Song, I didn't know what I was doing. Okay. I thought that I was using it like a hard drive, but then I could never remember my password for Dropbox. But two, I just didn't know what I was doing. So I started with Dropbox, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it's probably like a time capsule. I could probably log into it and find some things from 10 years ago that I haven't seen in only the Lord knows how long. Then I moved over to Google Drive unknowingly, honestly. they just started saving stuff for me. I was doing Google Docs and I didn't realize they were saving it to a Google Drive. So that sprung one on me. And then because of school, they have us using OneDrive, but I be having a hard time finding my stuff. So a lot of times I just put it over in Google Drive. So I'm going to tell you, I have a digital trail and a whole bunch. Oh, and iCloud, I have the iPad, so I got some photos in there. So I'm just leaving a trail all over the internet. The cloud probably want to purify me and get some stuff out, but I'm honestly, I'm on all of them, but the most is Google Drive. And I'm going to tell you, I like them colors. I like my color folders. I think that more of the providers should give me color folders, because I'm just going to tell you, I like color folders.
Awesome. Now, let's take a look at some comments on what people are using. So we have Tiffany, who completed the cloud spectrum. She uses all four: Google, Apple, Dropbox, OneDrive. It might be for different things. You might use one for school. A lot of teachers are using Google Drive. A lot of businesses might be using OneDrive. So there's so many different providers that you can use. Now, a lot of people might not even realize they're actually using the cloud. When you take a photo on your iPhone, even if you are not paying for it, it is being stored in Apple's iCloud unless you turn that feature off in the settings. If you have an Android phone, it is utilizing that too, as well as using the Google Drive and Google Photos integration. Now, what services am I using? So from a work standpoint at Microsoft, I use OneDrive for Business. That is our cloud provider. So I use that. Now, from a personal side, because there is cloud for business as well as personal use. So if you're a business owner, the cloud will be another great option for you. Now, for my photography, I use OneDrive. I went from OneDrive to Google Drive, back to OneDrive, just to see which one I liked. And I landed back on OneDrive. Just for business use. But for personal, it's a mixture of OneDrive as well as Google. Personally, I try to be brand agnostic in this regard. That I love Google Photos, just how fast it is, and it keeps that quality. It will change come June 1st next year, where you have to pay. So Google Photos won't be for free anymore. Just throwing it out there. But for the time being, it is great. I'm still going to use that service. I'm probably going to pay for it. Because I just love it. I want to preserve my memories right there. So those are some great things. So those are what I am using. Now, if you have a Samsung Galaxy, you are probably going to be using Google Photos. There might be the OneDrive app on there too that will back up your stuff. And usually with Samsung, if you bought like a new Samsung phone, they might have a promotion where you get like 100 gigs for free and things like that. So
I think she has the tablet version. She said it was from a couple years ago.
Oh, the Samsung Galaxy tablet. So, if that was that one question where like you had the cloud and don't know or can't access it, you would definitely want it. I feel like it might be a Verizon thing, because I know Verizon and Samsung had a partnership. But I would say how you access the cloud is your username. It's your login. It's what you use. So, for instance, we're all on Facebook. We're on YouTube right now, right? How did you get to it? You had to log in with your email. So all the cloud is logging in with your email and a password. That's what it is. But this leads us to now our next thing. Passwords and multi-factor, two-factor authentication. I'm going to take a lot of time with this, in the next 14 minutes.
All right, if y'all weren't listening to nothing else, make sure y'all listening to this part, because I think I need to go back to the characters. Because I think this is where some people, let's go back, because some people are a little, just came in. I think when it comes to passwords and protection, I think a
Mhm.
lot of us might find ourselves as a foolish feel. I'm just saying, a lot of us, when it comes to passwords and authentication, we're all like, it's fine, it's good, we're fine. Or lazy Lucy, you know better and you're not doing better. Okay, so if you have listened to nothing else, you need to listen. All right, I'm gonna hand it back to you. Let me stop. Go ahead.
All right. So we got passwords and multi-factor and two-factor authentication, right? So let's dive into passwords real quick. So if we can switch to my screen, right? So when we think about passwords, right, we might think, oh, an easy password for us to remember, right? So we might utilize, let's say, uh, password 123, right? We might think that is a safe password. We might utilize maybe our children's name as a password, something to remember, right? Or we might think no one's going to know about Grandma One. That should be a safe password, right? Well, guess what? Hackers have grandmothers too, you know? So you wouldn't want to use something like this. You want to make sure that password is very hard to remember. You don't want to use things that might be very familiar that people would know about you, especially what you post online. So, like me, I'm a big wrestling fan, but I would never have anything related to wrestling in any of my passwords because that could be easy for someone to guess. You know, you might say a certain word a certain time and you might think that's a good password, but someone would know that. So you might be thinking, well, Errol, how do I think of a good password that I could at least remember, right? Well, let's take a look at something like this. We all have heard about Mary had a little lamb, right? That is something that we can recite in our head that is very easy to remember. But how could I break this down into a password that not many people would know and something that I wouldn't normally share out? So it would look something as this. You might do a capital M at symbol, might do capital H, a D, another at symbol, maybe throw in a capital L, an exclamation point, T, and then maybe a L, a capital M, and a B. So now you can see that I created a complicated password that not many people will be able to guess, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna guess that. Mm-mm.
No one's going to guess that. Now, when we're creating a password, think about maybe a sentence that you would remember. That's something that is familiar to you that you wouldn't normally share out to people. Something like this. But come on, it's 2020, right? We have a ton of accounts from our bank to our social media to everything. So how do we remember all of this stuff? It's
You write it
super
down,
hard.
right? Don't you just write it down on the
I mean, you
notebook?
could write it down like that on a sheet of paper, but I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen people write down their passwords and they put it in their pocket or it's in their wallet and they pull it out and it's all there. But guess what? What happens if you pull that out and then it drops on the ground and you're outside and you're in a rush? There's your password right there. That's just leaving your door open in your house and telling the world, just come on in, right? Now, how someone wants to make
Oh,
them your
are you
screensaver.
kidding me? Oh my goodness. Oh
I hope
my.
not. I hope not.
Oh
But
man.
how do you remember your passwords, right? So there are password managers out there. And here are some of them. There is 1Password, LastPass, and there's Bitwarden. So why are these great? is that you memorize your master password. So you'll memorize, remember this saying right here, right? You'll memorize your master password, and that's all you need. And then everything else, you can generate a long string of hard to crack passwords and be good to go. So if you're like me and I have a lot of different accounts, I utilize these services right here to remember my different passwords. Now, you do not want to give out your master password to anyone, okay? That's like giving out your social security number. You don't want to do that. So think about it like that. But a password can only go as far. Now, this is where multi-factor authentication comes in now. You might be wondering, well, what the heck is that? Now, the best way to describe it is, how many of us have done online banking before? If you have done online banking, you know the drill, right? You go online, you enter your email or username, and you enter your password. But what happens? You don't get to see your account yet, especially if it's your first time doing it. It says to make sure that it's really you, we're going to send a text message or a code. That's an extra layer of security, especially at work. You might have it where you have to get your smartphone and authenticate it with your fingerprint, right? That's two-factor authentication. So that is the extra step. So think about two-step authentication is like your house, right? You close your door, right? Close your door. That's your password. You want to lock it. You want to turn that key as an extra step of security. Think about it like that. Here's a quick video on two-factor authentication, and we are going to be talking about how do I remember my password one more time. So let's play that quick video.
Security plays a big role in protecting your online identity. Now, I want to show you a few quick ways on how you can protect yourself by turning on two-step authentication across a few various accounts. Now, the accounts we're going to talk about today is Google and Facebook, but you can check in your different settings of the different providers that you use to turn on this. Now, I'm in my Google right here, and I'm going to click on this waffle menu and just go to my account. Now, once I'm signed in, I'm going to see the security area. Now, when I click on that security area, I want to make sure that this is turned on right here. Two-step verification. You might see that as multi-factor authentication, two-step verification, and that just adds an extra layer of security just to make sure you're safe. So when you're logging in to your device, there's that extra step of an SMS message, maybe an alert on your phone to hit accept, or use biometrics, your fingerprint. Now, let's take a look at Facebook. A lot of us is watching on Facebook. So let's see. All right. So same steps. When you're signed into your Facebook, go into your settings area. And you want to navigate to the security and login page. And this is where you want to turn on two-factor authentication. Make sure those things are turned on. Your bank uses it. A lot of other companies use it. All you have to do is find your settings and make sure two-factor authentication is always turned on. It adds an extra layer of security for your accounts and gives you a peace of mind.
All right. Awesome. So
That sounds like one of them ads. They're like, your children can sleep safe tonight. No, you have ADT security. All right. You should go on the ads, man. That was good.
yes, maybe I should. Maybe I should. But does anyone here remember their passwords? Not password, passwords across all your accounts. Do you remember your passwords across all your accounts? Now, this is where I bring up the whole 1Password, LastPass, Bitwarden. These are great password managers. So you remember your master password, right? We'll go back to that whole Mary Had a Little Lamb thing. Just don't use this as your password, please. This is being recorded. Don't do that. But you remember your master password, and it's going to add an extra layer of security. It's going to verify that you put your phone number so they can send you a message, making sure it's you. You can verify with your phone, with your thumbprint. But the nice thing with these is that it's almost like, think about it like Secret Service, right? You forget your master password, right? Now, it does give you a few options to get back into your account. You can print out these, it's called like temporary codes. You would print out, maybe put it in a safety deposit box or a fireproof box in your house. Worst case scenario, you forget. If you don't do that, and let's say you forget your master password, you do have the ability to say, I forgot, and they will do what is right for you. They would wipe all of your passwords out, and you cannot recover them. One, they're encrypted, so they view your password or anything like that. So if you forget your master password, they wipe it clean. Think about it like Men in Black. Remember the ionizer? It hits you, and then you forget everything. It's like that. So you want to make sure you remember your master password. When they say print out this list for safekeeping, keep that for safekeeping. Lock it away. Fireproof safe. No one has access to it, you know. So what are some of the takeaways, I guess, tonight that you have learned when it comes to cloud and online safety? I know it was probably a lot, but I would love to hear some of your takeaways here.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to our original slide. That was just, these are the 4 things that we wanted to cover tonight. Why it's important to back up. What is the cloud and is it safe? Who are the providers and how you protect yourself online? If there was a particular point or takeaway that you have, it'd just be great to share it. Our instructors put in a lot of time trying to prepare something that's relevant and accessible and helpful. And so if there's something that was, just let us know. And we would love to just hear from you before we sign out for the night. And if you are, if you weren't able to listen to the whole thing and you jumped in at the end, feel free to go back and check in towards the beginning because we also shared some good stuff in the beginning as well.
Yep. So I'm really glad, Tiffany, you brought this up. I should really consider 2-factor authentication. Look at all your social media accounts. Start from there and start with your email accounts too to make sure that's turned on. Whatever social media you have, turn on 2-factor authentication. Your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook. You know how many times have we seen a post on Facebook and we're like, this don't sound like them, because they got hacked. More than likely, they did not turn on 2-factor authentication. Make sure you turn that on. A lot of companies, Microsoft, Google, they already turned on that for you. Apple as well. When you sign into your Google account, you know how you might get that pop-up that says punch in the code or hit yes in the Google app, or Microsoft use your fingerprint. Same thing. Check to make sure. A lot of those providers have 2-factor authentication. Go into the settings, search for it, make sure they have it. And if they don't, AKA, I love you, Netflix, but you got to turn on 2-factor authentication. They probably don't do it. There's some reason, but it's good to check to make sure those social media accounts, things that you use, have it.
All right, so as we get ready to sign off, no matter where you were, Nervous Nelly, Foolish Phil, Lazy Lucy, we do know that the word says that people perish for lack of knowledge. Lots of things happen when you don't know better. And now at this point, you all know better, and we want you all to do better. Okay, don't avoid technology. What do you always say about technology, Mr. Ebanks?
So what do I say about technology? That's a good thing.
That is fun. And
technology is fun.
Embrace it.
Technology is fun. You got to embrace it. It's not as scary as you think. Once you start using it and feel comfortable, like, oh, this isn't bad. I took a photo. I'm preserving my memories that I can give to someone else. I can share what I'm seeing with them, or a document, you name it. Technology is fun. You're able to back up your stuff. You're able to preserve it quick and easy and share it with the people you love.
And do this awesome presentation. He has one of the cooler presentations that we've seen in a while, right, guys? I mean, that's my opinion, but technology lets you do some pretty cool stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about technology and not being so much of a nervous Nelly or a foolish Phil, he's going to have a 4-week course coming out in spring 2021. It'll be free, and he's going to be talking about more things, not just the cloud or organization, but also just some cool apps and different processes that you can do to make your life brighter, better, and more efficient. So look out for that in spring 2021. And I think with that, we're good to sign off.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe night and a safe week.
We're going to wave because that's what we do nowadays, right? Bye, everyone.